My wife didn't know that we had divorced. At a commercial party, she looked at me and the young girl holding hands, her eyes betraying a slight, knowing smile. Quite busy lately, husband? I looked at the man holding her close, Song Jingyan, whose eyes were still red, and calmly replied, a pot calling the kettle black. That evening, she pushed me into the room. Her strained expression was rare, her eyes were red, and her voice was cold. Why? I didn't answer, only finding it amusing. Clearly, the person in her heart wasn't me, but Song Jingyan. The whole world knew she married me only because that man ran away right on our wedding day. Therefore, I had to wear a wedding suit that didn't fit, marrying a woman who couldn't even remember my name. Friends and relatives behind my back all said I was pathetic, just a substitute shadow for my wife's first love. Even on our wedding night, midway through, she was called away by Song Jingyan. I didn't say a word, nor did I cause a scene. She frequently flew abroad to meet him, I never spoke up. Until the night Song Jingyan got divorced, I happened to overhear him, his eyes red, ask her, now that I'm back, do you still want to marry me? Sun Yenan was silent for a moment, then decisively answered, yes. In that moment, I knew I should return this husband position. The next day, I directly handed her the divorce agreement. She didn't bother to look at it, signing it while talking to Song Jingyan, not caring to listen to me, and rushed off. I looked at the woman's retreating back, and a thought suddenly sparked in my mind. I wanted to know what her face would look like when she found out the truth. There was still over half a month left before the divorce procedures were finalized. I took advantage of the time to clean up my belongings and say goodbye to my brothers. Unexpectedly, Sun Yenan suddenly came to pick me up to go home. On the way, as if suddenly remembering, she opened her mouth. Chen Zhou, what was that document you gave me to sign half a month ago? Only now she remembered to ask. It made sense, she had been revolving around Song Jingyan this whole time. What leisure did she have to care about trivial matters? I slightly curved my lips, and just as I was about to speak, her phone rang. Yenan, I drank too much, I have a bad headache, can you come pick me up? The voice on the other end sounded exhausted yet whiny. Sun Yenan placed her hand on the steering wheel, her fingers white, her expression darkening. Song Jingyan, I already told you, I am married. The other end was silent for a moment, then he chuckled softly. So what if you're married? That year, the groom should have been me. That casual tone made Sun Yenan furious. In 3 years of marriage, I had never seen her lose control like this. For the first time, she slammed on the brakes, the screech of tires echoing down the road. Are you coming? The other side was silent. A moment later, his voice choked up. I'm sorry, I won't bother you again after this. The call was disconnected, but Sun Yenan's expression did not soften. After a long while, she finally relented, typed a few words, and sent the address. Seeing her looking at the phone, about to turn and say something to me, I spoke first. Go if you have something to do, I'll take a cab home myself. Watching me open the car door, cover myself with an umbrella, and step out, Sun Yenan showed a fleeting trace of guilt. I'll come back to you after I'm done. I nodded, standing in the rain watching her drive away until she disappeared. I couldn't tell what emotion was in my heart, bitterness, emptiness, or letting go. This was the 7th year I had loved Sun Yenan. I still clearly remember the first time I saw her in the dance studio. I was instantly captivated. She was wearing a practice dress, her figure graceful, single-handedly winning the provincial dance competition, becoming the focal point of the entire stage. In the heavy rain, I sent her a message. The document you asked about is in the passenger seat drawer. If you want to know what it is, open it and look. Half an hour later, when I had arrived home, Sun Yenan finally replied with one sentence. If you gave it to me to sign, it surely won't harm me. Meaning, she wouldn't read it. Right. Now she was rushing to pick up a drunk Song Jingyan. She wouldn't have time to care about those things, even if they were less than half a meter away from her hand. It rained all day long, only stopping late the next afternoon. I stayed home, silently deleting all the posts about our married life across all platforms. After cleaning up social media, just as I logged out, I saw a new post from Song Jingyan, a set of 9 photos taken on a yacht, every angle meticulously done. In the photo was a woman's soft hand. I immediately recognized it as Soon Yenen's hand. And I knew Song Jingyan was doing it on purpose, but at this point, I no longer cared about those things. I turned off my phone, stood up, and went to the kitchen, intending to make myself a salad. Just as I finished cooking dinner, Soon Yenen unexpectedly returned. Looking at the sweet cake in her hand, I was slightly stunned. Don't you dislike sweets? Why did you suddenly buy a cake? Soon Yenen stepped closer, saw the simple dinner on the table, and slightly frowned. It's your birthday today, did you forget? Why are you eating so casually? I was stunned. When I was 4, my parents divorced, leaving me to be raised by my grandmother. At 15 or 16, she passed away, and no one watched over me. From then on, I stopped celebrating my birthday. But throughout the 3 years of marrying Soon Yenen, she remembered every year, and no matter how busy she was, she would try to come back to celebrate my birthday with me. When I returned from a long business trip, she worried about my safety and always came all the way to the airport to pick me up. If there was a thunderstorm, knowing I was afraid of lightning, she would gently comfort me. I once thought that this inadvertent concern and gentleness was love. Until our 1-month wedding anniversary, Soon Yenen excused herself, citing company work, and cancelled the romantic dinner we had booked early. I was slightly disappointed, and was about to go back when I received a call from Jiang Mo, asking me to bring a jacket to the bar. I didn't expect to run into that scene. Song Jingyan was dead drunk, tightly embracing someone who should have been working overtime at the company, refusing to let go. Soon Yenen's face was ice cold, and she angrily ripped his hand away. Song Jingyan, stop being crazy, let go. What do you take me for? Throw me away when you want, pick me up when you want. But Song Jingyan didn't listen to anything she said, embracing her waist like a madman, relentlessly, again and again. Finally, Soon Yenen compromised, giving up. She stood there helpless. Song Jingyan, what more do you want from me? In that moment, the bag in my hand dropped to the floor. In my mind, countless images flashed, hands tightly clasped in a crowded street, an umbrella tilted to one side in a heavy rain. Every detail was proof of the love Soon Yenen held for Song Jingyan. I had witnessed everything with my own eyes, so I could not deny anything. Even though we had been married for 3 years, even though I was her husband, even though I had once received some tenderness from her, I could not deny that all those good things were just temporary favors I borrowed while Song Jingyan was absent. I tightly held on to that small sweetness, naively thinking I had gained the whole world. But in reality, I had never possessed her, not even for a second. Therefore, looking at the number 24 on the birthday cake, my heart felt no turbulence. I just politely nodded, thank you. Soon Yenen lit the candles and smiled. Chen Zhou, we are husband and wife, don't be so distant by saying thank you, make a wish. I nodded, and just as I was about to stand up, her phone rang again. Seeing the slight tremor in her eyes, I guessed who was calling, so I sat back down. And just as I thought, a minute later, she hung up and left. Hearing the sound of the car horn outside the window growing distant, the corner of my mouth curved into a bitter smile. The lights in the room were off, the dancing candlelight casting my lonely shadow upon the wall. I clasped my hands, silently making my 24th birthday wish. This new year, I will no longer be in love with Soon Yenen. The next time I saw her was 3 days later, at the class reunion for the 21st cohort of the Faculty of Engineering. She was surrounded by everyone in the center. As soon as she saw me, she immediately walked over and sat down next to me. The entire private room became awkward seeing the two of us sitting together. I knew it was because of me. In the eyes of our college friends, I married Soon Yenin just to avoid having to strive, the type of man who relies on his wife, so no one respected me. But I didn't care, I just sat silently, showing no expression. The class monitor arrived late, holding a large cardboard box, smiling radiantly. Today's gathering is to reconnect. Also, remember, everyone, back then we wrote letters to our future selves, to be opened next year. The whole room became noisy and agitated. How about we play a random draw game, and each person reads one letter? That's a good idea, I'll draw first. The liveliest boy in the class pushed into the crowd and retrieved a letter. Urged by his friends, he quickly tore open the envelope, cleared his throat, and began to read. To my future self next year, are you doing well? At that time, I was sitting in the sunlight writing this letter to myself. Although I don't know the circumstances or the mood you'll be in when you read this letter, I want to convey my current feelings to my future self. After hearing the first part, the entire room suddenly fell silent, all eyes shifting towards me. Soon Yenin also lifted her head from her phone, looking at the person beside her in astonishment. My face, which was usually calm, paused momentarily as I recalled the letter's contents. The male student glanced at me, smirked cunningly, and continued reading. This year I am 19 years old, just entered my second year of college, and I am in love with Soon Yenin, but she doesn't know. In fact, even if she did know, nothing would change because she already has someone in her heart. My secret feelings were never destined to have a result. Perhaps you will ask, if you know there's no result, why not give up? I want to tell you, what I love is her brilliance as she moves forward amidst the cheers and applause. It's the moment she bent down to pick up my book in the afternoon wind, a completely thoughtless act that moved me. It's her sincerity and politeness even when she's turning others down. It's how every morning during class meeting I secretly turned my head to look at her until my neck ached. It's how when I heard she was injured while practicing dance I risked the thunderstorm to secretly place medicine in her desk. It's the diary pages filled with her name that I wrote all night long. Perhaps she won't even remember who I am her whole life. But it doesn't matter because secret love is fundamentally a solitary person's chaos. As soon as the letter was finished, the room fell silent. Soon Yenin's whole body stiffened, as if a cold wind had blown right through her. She recalled the wedding ceremony that year, the place she least wanted to remember. Remembering the judgmental eyes from all four directions and that young man, I stood up, without hesitation, walked to her side, and took her hand amidst everyone's gaze. Only now did she truly understand why I agreed to marry her. It wasn't, as the world rumored, that I wanted to cling to power. It was simply because I had loved her in secret for many years. In that moment, her heart, which had been cold for a long time, suddenly beat faster by one rhythm. She suddenly wanted to clearly ask about all the things she never understood, never dared to ask. But before she could even open her mouth, Song Jingyan's phone call came through. Yenin, I'm being blocked by some debt collectors under the club. Before he finished speaking, Soon Yenin's face changed. She jumped up and rushed down the stairs. A group of people rushed in to protect Song Jingyan, who was standing behind. I hurriedly followed, and that was the scene that struck my eyes. I stopped short, instinctively raising my head to look toward Soon Yenin. But all I saw was her back, shielding Song Jingyan, before she walked away. That was the kind of concern I had never received. I lowered my eyes, hiding my gaze, chuckled faintly with self-mockery, and then quietly turned around to go home alone. It wasn't until dawn that Soon Yenin returned. Seeing me sitting silently on the sofa, she seemed to suddenly remember that she needed to say something. Chen Zhou, today everyone was a classmate, and about Song Jingyan's matter, I couldn't have anticipated it. I didn't want to expose her, so I just softly hummed and took my pajamas into the bathroom. Half an hour later, when I stepped out wiping my hair, I saw Soon Yenin holding my phone, her expression somewhat unusual. Chen Zhou, why did you book a plane ticket? I was slightly stunned, immediately reacted, and snatched the phone back. I didn't book it. It's probably just a promotional text message from the airline. Soon Yenin intended to ask more, but seeing that I had no intention of explaining further, she swallowed her words. After all, I had never lied to her. So she put the phone down, nodded, and went into the bathroom. After I finished drying my hair, Soon Yenin also stepped out, having just finished her shower. She proactively wrapped her arms around my waist, standing on tiptoe, intending to kiss me. I tilted my head, avoiding that fervent kiss, and softly said, "I'm not feeling well today, I want to rest a bit early." Soon Yenin didn't insist, and quietly turned off the light. The next morning was beautiful, and we drove to a hot spring resort. The warm spring water relaxed my fatigued nerves. I leaned against the wall, watching the unending misty white steam rise, gradually feeling sleepy until I drifted off without realizing it. Perhaps because I was used to noise, I didn't hear the knock on the door outside. Soon Yenin called my name several times without a response, and overly worried, she pushed the door and stepped in. Seeing my exhausted state at that moment, her heart skipped a few beats. She rushed into the spring and quickly helped me up. I vaguely opened my eyes, thick steam enveloped the surroundings, and our skin was pressed close. Her first reaction was to immediately let go of me and open the window for ventilation. I struggled to get up and walked into the changing room. By the time I finished changing and stepped out, I felt completely drained of strength, only able to sit blankly on one side. Soon Yenin paused for a moment, but didn't say anything, and turned to leave. I was slightly bewildered. It was only then that I truly understood how ridiculous the notion I had sparked in my heart on our wedding day was. How could a latecomer ever replace someone? How could one's enthusiasm warm a cold heart? Love is love, no love is no love. I had bet on the wrong person from the start. So now that everything has fallen apart, I accept it. I don't know how much time had passed. I sat alone at the end, looking up at the dazzling light on the ceiling, and let out a silent, soft laugh. I received a call from the agency staff, saying that the visa was done. I went to retrieve all the documents and started packing my luggage. On the table, the calendar was torn off one page each day, and it quickly neared the end. This year was also nearing its end, and I was about to leave the city I had lived in for over 20 years. Throughout that entire week, Soon Yenin did not return home once. Conversely, Song Jingyan sent me many messages every day. Counting down to the 7th day, he sent a video clip of Soon Yenin sitting on the sofa, gently rubbing his shoulders, the action extremely tender. As I watched, I silently threw all the items I had bought for her over the years into a cardboard box. On the 5th day, he sent several photos of Soon Yenin giving him expensive watches and personally putting them on his wrist. I casually smashed the wedding photo frame and tossed it into the fireplace. On the 3rd day was an audio recording of Soon Yenin sleeping, her mouth still murmuring his name, her voice genuinely choked with emotion. I gathered all the gifts she had given me after we married, boxed them up, and sent them all to a charity organization. The villa I once called home was now chillingly empty, with only a few meager pieces of luggage being sorted for the last time. The housemaid saw the scene of me neatly packing up and worriedly asked several times what was going on. I just smiled, my voice light. "Just a divorce." "Has Madam agreed?" they asked. I replied nonchalantly, "I don't know. But I think if Soon Yenin saw the divorce agreement right now, she would surely be very happy. After all, in her heart now, there is only Song Jingyan." The 2nd day before I left, Song Jingyan sent another message. This time it wasn't Soon Yenin, but his parents. In the photo, the 3 of them were sitting around the dining table, laughing and chatting happily, looking like a complete family. I looked without any ripple of emotion, and did not reply to the message, just quietly opened my contacts and deleted all contacts for Song Jingyan, Soon Yenin, and everyone related to them. On the day of my departure, the first snow of the season fell. I carried all my diaries and unsent love letters out to the backyard. The flickering orange light illuminated my face, while also burning the emotions of my youth, every line and every word I had written for her. I looked up at the constantly falling snowflakes, silently wondering how much longer the snow would fall before it could completely cover this pile of ashes. While I was deep in thought, the tightly closed gates suddenly sprang open. Soon Yenin, who hadn't appeared all week, finally returned, her steps hurried. She glanced at me standing in the snowy yard, went into the living room briefly, and then came back out to stand beside me. Seeing the pale pink envelope smoldering, she suddenly remembered the letter from the class reunion that year. The heart that had been abandoned by her finally began to soften. "I've been too busy lately," she softly said. "Wait 2 more days until I finish up. Can we talk properly?" I looked at her and asked, "Talk about what? The divorce?" I chuckled, looked up at her, my voice strangely calm. "There's no need to talk anymore. I already gave you the one thing you wanted most a month ago." "What is it?" Soon Yenin was about to ask when her phone chimed several times. She turned on the screen, read the messages, and a gentle smile shone in the corners of her eyes. Seeing that expression on her face, I didn't say anything more, and silently threw the last few love letters into the fire. I stood up, my tall figure completely obscuring the flickering fire behind. Soon Yenin finished her last message, and the love letters had just finished burning. Perhaps she even forgot what she had intended to ask. I escorted her all the way to the gate, and even opened the car door for her. A cold gust of wind swept by. Soon Yenin saw I was thinly dressed and softly said, "Go inside, don't catch a cold." I stubbornly stood at the door, seeing her off, without saying a word. Through the car window, Soon Yenin saw me raise my hand and wave lightly, seemingly saying something, but she couldn't hear clearly. In any case, it was probably just phrases like, "drive safely," which she had heard countless times over the past 3 years, so she didn't pay it any mind. The car revved up and soon disappeared completely from sight. I stood alone in the snowy weather for a very long time before turning back to the room, putting on my coat, and dragging my suitcase downstairs. Under the moonlight and the first snow, the snowflakes falling on my hair looked like a head of white hair from a distance. The taxi stopped in front of the villa gate. Before getting into the car, I turned my head to look back one last time, softly repeating the phrase from earlier, as if speaking to myself, "Goodbye forever. Goodbye Jingbei, goodbye Soon Yenin." At the same time, Soon Yenin drove straight to Song Jingyan's house. Last night, he insisted on looking at childhood photos again, which was why she had gone home to find them. After retrieving them, she carried the heavy bag of photos out to the elevator when she happened to pass a strange woman. The woman wore a light, familiar perfume, exactly the scent Song Jingyan loved the most. That person had just stepped out of his apartment. Soon Yenin felt a slight suspicion, but the elevator arrived right then, so she didn't think much of it, and pressed the button for the 7th floor. As soon as he saw her, Song Jingyan beamed a radiant smile. The two of them looked at the photos and chatted animatedly, recalling childhood memories, which made her temporarily forget everything else. By noon, Song Jingyan's parents arrived at his place. They said, "Yenin, my wife and I have been busy these past few years. If it weren't for you looking after Jingyan, we don't know what would have become of him. We sincerely thank you." Song Jingyan stepped forward, intending to hold her hand, but his mother pulled him back. "Now you two are grown up, and you also have your own family. Jingyan still doesn't understand, keeps clinging to you. We hope you don't blame him. I will discipline him again, and tell him not to bother you anymore in the future." The room suddenly fell silent. Soon Yenin clearly understood the meaning of those words. She momentarily lost her composure but quickly regained her natural demeanor, the smile on her lips receding, leaving only politeness. Song Jingyan's expression also changed, but he pretended not to understand his mother's intent, still smiling brightly at Soon Yenin, planning to change the subject. "Come on, Yenin and I grew up together, there's no such thing as bothering or not bothering, right? Soon Yenin raised her head, and just as she was about to answer, she met the profound gazes of the two elders. The sentence on her lips immediately changed direction. That's right, but my secretary just reported that there's a bit of work at the company, and now that my uncle and aunt are here, it's not convenient for me to stay. Having said that, she didn't linger, turned around, and left the living room. A few steps away, Song Jingyan's mother called out, handing her the album. Yenin, Jingyan was wrong to you before. He was young then, and didn't understand the value of sincere feelings. Don't take it to heart. Looking at the woman who had watched over her since childhood, whose face was now full of apology. Soon Yenin shook her head lightly. Auntie, I have already forgotten the past, and I won't blame Jingyan, please rest assured. Song Jingyan's mother sighed, her gaze towards her full of regret. Jingyan didn't have the fortune, and you two weren't destined to be husband and wife. I heard your mother say that your current husband is very filial and mature, and your relationship is good. You must cherish him, that is the person worthy of your true feelings, the one who will walk with you until the end of the road. Soon Yenin understood that her aunt was advising her to give up. She also clearly understood, the story between her and Song Jingyan had actually ended the day she stubbornly stood up at that wedding ceremony, the day she married someone else out of spite. Over the past 3 years, she had tried to forget the past, trying to live well by my side. But a love of 18 years cannot be let go just by saying so. Therefore, when Song Jingyan returned to the country, clinging to her repeatedly, Soon Yenin ultimately softened. Even if they couldn't be lovers, at least there was still the bond of friendship. With that mindset, she allowed herself to go to him time and time again. To be honest, every time Song Jingyan cried while saying he still loved her, Soon Yenin's heart was moved. But those feelings were only like a gust of wind sweeping across the lake's surface, creating small ripples before quickly becoming calm again. She always timely remembered that the person who was her husband was me. Time and again, she was like someone lost in a thick fog, unable to find a way out. Until she heard those words, she was like someone splashed with a basin of cold water, finally starting to sober up. She remembered the moment I stood in the white snow seeing her off that morning, and an indescribable warm feeling surged in her heart. Soon Yenin bowed deeply to Song Jingyan's mother, her voice serious and resolute. Thank you for telling me these things, I understand. Leaving Song Jingyan's house, Soon Yenin returned to the old villa. Her mother called her into the room, rarely looking so serious. When you first got married, I felt that Qinzhou's family background wasn't worthy of you, so I had a prejudice. But over the past 3 years, I've seen that he treats you very well, takes care of the house perfectly, and is filial towards our family, so I have gradually let go of those concerns. You are not a child anymore. I don't want to keep nagging about these things. Let bygones be bygones, don't keep holding on to the past. You have a good eye for people, since you chose such a good husband, you should settle down and live properly. Marriage is not like dating, it is a pot of slow-cooked porridge, requiring time and perseverance. You and Qinzhou got married when you were too young. Your feelings aren't deep yet, so if there's anything, you must talk clearly with each other. Don't let repressed thoughts turn into misunderstandings. Do you understand? Soon Yenin didn't expect her usually reserved mother to speak such heartfelt words. But she understood, her mother was right. She bowed her head respectfully. Mother is right, I know what I should do. Her mother nodded in satisfaction, then took out a box and pushed it over. This is the jade pendant my grandmother gave me when I got married. Take it and give it to Qinzhou. The day after tomorrow is your father's birthday, remember to bring him home for dinner. The whole family will gather for a meal. Soon Yenin opened the box, looking at the expensive, transparent ice variety jade inside, her eyes suddenly becoming distant. She recalled the wedding 3 years ago, the event that had caused so much turmoil. That day, Song Jingyan called to cancel the wedding right in the middle of the ceremony. Both sets of in-laws left simultaneously, everyone's face turning pale. She stood alone on the stage, her heart empty, picked up the microphone, and let out all the emotions she had suppressed for so long. She didn't even remember clearly what she had said. Until I stood up, was pushed backstage by a few of her female friends, and then reappeared in her line of sight. The wedding music played. I was wearing a slightly loose suit, walking with firm steps towards her side. Under the scrutinizing gaze of thousands of people, I was neither afraid nor regretful. Perhaps it was that very determination that gave courage to her broken heart. Even though she couldn't remember my name at the time, she made a firm resolution. For the rest of her life, she would treat the man who gave her the wedding ring well, the man who held her hand at the darkest moment of her life. Soon Yenin placed the box containing the jade into the passenger seat drawer. Before closing the drawer, she suddenly saw a stack of documents. She focused on looking closely, trying to think what it was, but couldn't recall when she had placed it there. Just as she was about to take it out and look, her phone rang again. It was Song Jingyan. Yenin, my parents are home, and my friends invited me out. Are you free to come over and join us? This time, Sun Yenin didn't hesitate. She refused him directly. Song Jingyan's voice dropped, and he awkwardly tried to say more, so she used the excuse of having a meeting and decisively hung up. She closed the drawer and drove back home. The villa, which was always lively, was unusually quiet today. She scanned the living room and realized that many things had disappeared. The hairpin I bought her and left on the coffee table months ago, the water cup usually placed on the dining table, the cushion on the sofa, all insignificant items, but purchased by me. She had never paid attention before. But somehow this time, she keenly sensed that something was wrong, and immediately called the housekeeper over to ask, "Why are so many things missing from the house?" The master threw them all away. The elderly housekeeper replied, then looked up at her expression, hesitated for a moment, and spoke, "Madam, do you really want to divorce him?" Before she could even utter a reply, a commotion sounded from outside the door. "In this snowy weather, I knew for sure you'd be home. Have you gotten together with friends lately? Come have a drink with us." A few close female friends walked into the house arm in arm, allowing no refusal, grabbing Sun Yenin's arm and pulling her away. The word divorce hadn't even left her lips before it was swallowed by the everyday hubbub. They said they were going drinking, but her friends still remembered her health condition, so they only dared to pour her a few glasses of plain water to sip. She sat watching them play games, took 2 sips of water, and then took out her phone to text me a message. "Are you going out today? Where are you going? When will you be back? Send me your address, I'll come pick you up later. The snow is very slippery, be careful walking, don't fall." Before the message could be sent, the friend who had just finished a phone call changed expression, pulled Sun Yenin to her feet, and excitedly called out to the whole group, let's go, let's change locations, something exciting is happening." The whole group didn't understand anything, but were drawn by the phrase, something exciting, and enthusiastically rushed out to follow. On the way, everyone asked where they were going, but that friend didn't say a word, only occasionally glanced at Sun Yenin. The destination was a bar they had never been to. Before getting out of the car, that friend pushed Sun Yenin forward and said a few meaningful words in a low voice. "Sisterin, there's something Feng Qing told me a long time ago, but I only decided to tell you tonight. If you see anything later, don't blame me, I really only want what's best for you." The whole group were close friends who grew up together. Hearing her speak so seriously, everyone fell silent. Sun Yenin's smile gradually faded. She looked at the bar door only a few steps away, hesitated for a moment, and then reached out to push the door open. The scene inside the bar immediately became clear. In the space glittering with dazzling colored lights, everyone was immersed in the deafening, vibrant DJ music. Under the bright white stage lights, a couple was tightly intertwined on the stage, kissing passionately, clearly visible. Even from a short distance, Sun Yenin immediately recognized that it was Song Jingyan. He was embracing a beautiful, suggestively dressed girl, with a dissolute appearance. The woman's face showed provocation, and his hand was tucked behind her back, constantly caressing her. Compared to Song Jingyan's usual glamorous, suave appearance, the current image was like two completely different people. In that moment, the 7 or 8 people standing at the door were all stunned. Contrasting this silence was the increasingly frenzied cheering from inside the bar. "Oh my God, they went big so fast, they've been kissing for half an hour already. They're lovers, what's the big deal about a little kissing? Seriously envious. I heard young Master Song has been seeing this girl for at least half a year now. I wonder how long this will last, will he get over Sun Yenin this time? Don't make wild guesses, young Master Song is just playing around. Look at Sun Yenin, wasn't she teased by him for 3 years, and in the end, wasn't she still abandoned?" Hearing Song Jingyan's friends speak those unrestrained words, Sun Yenin's friends were so angry their faces flushed red. They couldn't swallow this outrage. They pushed through the crowd and rushed straight into the bar. One person turned on the music, another turned on the bright lights, and the rest jumped directly onto the stage, forcefully pulling the two intertwined people apart. That sudden incident immediately shattered the bar's lively atmosphere. Song Jingyan came back to his senses, seeing the group of people who had rushed in without him noticing. His expression immediately darkened. After scanning around and not seeing Sun Yenin's shadow, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. His face turned cold, glaring at them. "How did you people know I was here? I didn't invite you to come, did I?" The others were already angry. Hearing him say that only fueled their rage, and they immediately retorted, "Did you open this bar, that we need an invitation to come? What are you doing? Taking your new girlfriend on a honeymoon, afraid of being caught and reported?" Song Jingyan didn't want to lose face in front of his new girlfriend. His head heated up and he snapped back. "What am I afraid of? It's just dating, that's all. What's there to be afraid of? Does Sun Yenin know? She's a married woman, does she still have the right to interfere with her ex-boyfriend's love life?" The moment the words left his mouth, Sun Yenin's female friends clapped their hands together and laughed coldly. Seeing her friends not angry but instead laughing faintly, Song Jingyan's face momentarily dropped. He started to feel something was wrong. Just as he was about to open his mouth to ask, the women spoke first. "Faking being a lingering lovesick fool has lasted long enough. Your foxtail is showing, isn't it? Song Jingyan, stop acting. You've been seeing someone else for half a year now, yet you were still having your cake and eating it too, and then turning around to seduce sister, and for what?" Hearing this, Song Jingyan's current girlfriend also began to suspect, her face immediately clouding over. Song Jingyan hadn't expected today's situation to turn out like this. He knew things were about to spiral out of control, hardened his resolve, and blurted out without thinking, "Didn't she keep clinging to me, insisting on getting back together? I wouldn't care less, I only found it dead annoying. Who would bother seducing her? She kept clinging to me like a stray dog, refusing to leave. I was already sick of her 3 years ago, that's why I intentionally ran away from the wedding. The trip abroad had nothing to do with it. Now, the only person I like is my girlfriend. Are those your true feelings?" A friend asked back, her voice sharp as a knife cut. Song Jingyan raised his head, trying to appear arrogant like a proud lion. Of course, even if Sun Yenin were standing here, would say exactly the same thing. The moment the sentence finished, no one spoke anymore. Sun Yenin's group of friends simultaneously stepped back, clearing a wide path right in the middle. Seeing that synchronized action, Song Jingyan's right eyelid twitched fiercely. He instinctively turned his head and then saw the familiar figure standing at the bar's entrance. His frantically beating heart instantly felt like someone had thrown a ladle of cold water over it, completely cooling down. The onlookers also slowly turned to look in his direction. After 3 years, Sun Yenin was once again the center of attention. But what surprised people was that there was no trace of anger on that face, no pain, no disappointment, and certainly none of the humiliation everyone expected. It was just a peaceful look after the storm, a gaze that had traversed the full spectrum of human suffering. Piercing through the dense crowd, she looked at the man standing on the stage, the man she had loved for many years, the man she had never possessed. She looked at the person who had abandoned her amidst the wedding ceremony long ago, who now seemed frighteningly unfamiliar. In that instant, she realized that this was perhaps the first time she truly saw him, even though she had known him for 18 years. She stood in the crowd, having not missed a single word, and softly said, "Thank you, for finally not deceiving me anymore. Thank you for telling the truth just once." Her voice rang out amidst countless whispers, still gentle and calm as if discussing the weather, no argument, no blame. The women on the stage, seeing that expression, suddenly recalled the scene 3 years ago when I first appeared in their lives. The expression, the tone of voice, the rhythm were exactly the same. "I am currently still single. If you don't mind, I can be your groom." I had said that on that day, and today Sun Yenin also gently repeated it in front of everyone. Having said that, she lowered her eyes, her lips curling into a very faint smile. Finally, she had remembered me. Only now did she truly understand how much pressure I had endured to dare stand up next to her that day. I finished showering, lay on the bed, and watched the sky outside the window gradually darken, an unreal feeling suddenly rising in my heart. Just yesterday, I was still wearing my home clothes, sitting in the villa in Jingbei watching the snow fall. Yet today I had traveled alone to a city across the ocean, starting a single life, living alone in a foreign land. The room was very quiet. I let the rambling stream of thoughts drift by and soon fell asleep. I dreamed. In the dream, I was sitting at Sun Yenin's wedding. This time Song Jingyan didn't run away but truly married her. I personally witnessed the two of them exchange rings, say their lifetime vows, and kiss under the congratulatory applause of thousands of people. Then I quietly left, returned to the quiet school, and buried myself in studies for 3 years. After graduation, I flew to America, starting a new life, never to return again. In that short life, the only connection between Sun Yenin and me was the 4 years we studied together. From then on, we went our separate ways. I would forever be the distant classmate whose name she couldn't even recall. Perhaps because the dream was too real, when I woke up the next morning, I was still dazed, unable to distinguish reality from the dream. I sat blankly on the sofa for a long time. It wasn't until noon, when a call from Su Qiaoqiao came, that I was pulled back to reality. "Chen Zhou, are you awake? I'm downstairs at your place, let's have lunch together." I went out to the parking lot, saw her car, opened the passenger door, and sat down. From the corner of my eye, I accidentally glanced and saw someone sitting in the back seat. I didn't turn around to look out of politeness, thinking that Sister Qiaoqiao would introduce us later. I buckled my seatbelt and sat still, waiting. The person next to me didn't speak, but a familiar voice came from the back seat. "Did you sleep well, Chen Zhou?" Hearing that voice, I immediately looked up. Through the rearview mirror, I saw a face that was not unfamiliar at all. It was Sun Yenin. Even though we hadn't met for just a day, she looked extremely haggard, as if she hadn't slept for days, but the look in her eyes directed towards me was clearer and more resolute than ever. Many questions rushed up my throat, but in the end, I didn't know what to ask. I remained silent. The air in the car became heavy. A minute later, Su Qiaoqiao noticed that the atmosphere was off, so she turned back to look at me, trying to break the awkwardness. "Chen Zhou, this is your university classmate. Sun Yenin, don't you recognize her?" She called me right after landing at the airport, saying she wanted to meet. "I thought you two were classmates, so I arranged a meal together. You don't mind, do you?" I did mind, but in front of Su Qiaoqiao, who knew nothing about the situation between us, I needed to remain calm. So I pretended nothing was wrong, forcing a smile and saying, "Whatever Sister Qiaoqiao arranges is fine. I probably haven't adjusted to the time difference yet, so I feel a little dizzy." She smiled and nodded, told me to take my time getting used to it, and then turned to ask Su Nyenin, "Nyenin, are you okay? Do you need to rest first? We can go later." Su Nyenin hadn't slept for nearly 30 hours, but she knew now wasn't the time to rest. She gently shook her head. "No need, let's go eat first then, you've already booked the restaurant." The two of them weren't very close during university, so it was unexpected that they would have the chance to meet again in San Francisco after graduation. I lowered my head but still felt the burning gaze from behind. I knew Su Nyenin had come for me. Someone as admired as her, who grew up in the prestige of the Su family, accustomed to being sought after by everyone, now being filed for divorce by an unknown person like me, certainly felt unwilling in her heart. I closed my eyes, rubbed my temples, trying to clear my mind to face everything that was about to happen. At that moment, the two of them continued talking. "It's not exactly a coincidence," Su Nyenin said. "I came to San Francisco this time for something very important, so meeting Chen Zhou was inevitable." Hearing the way she spoke, as if they were very close, yet seeing my attitude as if we were strangers. That complicated relationship confused Su Qiao a little. "So you came looking for Chen Zhou? Are you two still in contact after graduation? Are you very close?" "Just a normal relationship," I interrupted before Su Nyenin could answer. Only the two words, normal. But Su Nyenin's eyes flickered slightly, her lips tightened then relaxed, and in the end, she only repeated, "We were classmates for 4 years, now the relationship is normal. If we contact each other more in the future, we'll become closer." "Oh, that's right," Su Qiao continued. "Nyenin, do you have any work this time coming to the US? Didn't you bring your family? I heard you got married. Is your husband also a classmate?" Hearing this, my heart pounded, and my hands unconsciously clenched. A moment later, Su Nyenin's hoarse voice rang out, "Yes, but he recently filed for divorce. I came to the US this time to handle that matter." The statement surprised Su Qiao. A casual remark accidentally touching on a private matter made her awkward and unsure what to say. "I don't want to continue this topic anymore." Su Qiao immediately changed the subject. "Sister Qiao, is today's restaurant Western or Asian? How far is it? I'm too hungry, I haven't eaten all day." Su Qiao looked at me gratefully, and quickly replied, "Western, only a few hundred meters more, we're almost there." The meal lasted over an hour. Throughout that time, Su Qiao acted as a mediator, guiding the conversation for both, while I just buried myself in eating, avoiding all eye contact and questions. The things Su Nyenin wanted to ask were on the tip of her tongue many times, but she swallowed them down. Midway through the meal, Sister Qiao's company had an urgent matter. She had to leave early, leaving the two of us sitting opposite each other. No one spoke. The atmosphere immediately became thick. I finished the last piece of steak, and before I could wipe my mouth, Su Nyenin handed me a napkin. I did not take it, just stood up, pulled out another one myself, my voice flat but straightforward. "If you have anything to say it clearly now." Su Nyenin's outstretched hand instantly froze upon meeting my gaze. Only 1 day had passed since we last met, but the person standing in front of her now was completely different from the gentle, mild-mannered husband in her memory. She didn't know if I had changed or if she had simply never truly seen my real self. Thinking back, in 3 years of marriage, apart from intimate moments, she rarely looked me straight in the face, and even more rarely paid attention to my feelings. I was like a tranquil lake, without wind or waves, so calm that I was forgotten. I quietly existed within her sight, where she only needed to turn her head to see me. But because of that very familiarity, she gradually forgot where this lake came from, why it existed here, and so she never bothered to move on. Only when that lake began to flow, and she chased after it, did she realize with shock that the lake was never as tranquil as she thought, nor would it forever stand still for her slightest selfishness. Everything before was merely a subjective imagination she had painted herself. Facing a completely new me, a person she had never truly understood, Sun Yenin couldn't say it was wrong, but she also clearly understood that my decision to divorce was certainly related to her. Therefore, right from the start, she sincerely offered an apology. Chen Zhou, I'm sorry. Over the past 3 years, I failed to fulfill the duties of a wife, failed to give you a true home, and overlooked all your efforts. I apologize. I knew her words were sincere at this moment, but they were not enough to move me. I clearly understood that the relationship between Sun Yenin and me was wrong from the beginning. A relationship that starts from a mistake cannot have a right ending. Forcing someone who doesn't love you to marry you and spend their life with you is difficult to imagine, let alone when that person has never let go of their ex from beginning to end. I chose divorce because I realized how impulsive and naive I had been 3 years ago, and I wanted to right my own wrong. It wasn't because of responsibility, or the family atmosphere, nor because she didn't cherish what I did. Therefore, I only replied to her with a short sentence, I don't need your apology. All I need is for you to submit the divorce agreement to the court and send the divorce certificate to my address. Sun Yenin stood stunned in place. On the flight here, she still thought everything could be salvaged. Throughout the sleepless night, she had thought of countless ways to apologize, hoping I would forgive her. But at this moment, she finally realized how profound my determination was. Looking at my calm face, a flicker of panic appeared in her eyes. Her voice suddenly became urgent. Do you really want a divorce? Why? I looked her straight in the eye, every word clear and decisive. I married you because I loved you, but I want a divorce because I no longer love you. That's all. Leaving the restaurant, I didn't go home but went to find Su Qiao. Seeing me arrive alone, a look of surprise appeared on her face. Where is Yenin? After leaving the restaurant, she also had something to attend to. I came here because I'm about to start work and wanted to check things out first, I replied. Su Qiao didn't suspect anything. Just as I finished my tasks, she took me on a tour of the entire company. After work, the two of us had dinner together, and then I returned to the apartment. Turning on my phone, I saw a friend request from Sun Yenin. I recalled the words she said before parting, if you have decided on divorce, I will respect it. I don't deserve your feelings. I'm sorry for letting you down, but we were husband and wife for 3 years, even if we separate, can we still be friends? Be friends? What reason do Sun Yenin and I have left to be friends? In my imagination, we should end things civilly and then have no further contact. Therefore, I did not accept the invitation right away. It wasn't until 10 p.m. when I was preparing for bed that I saw her send another invitation, this time with a note. There are a few clauses in the divorce agreement I want to discuss with you. Since it concerned the divorce, I pressed accept. Sun Yenin didn't beat around the bush. She immediately sent the items she wanted to amend, marked very clearly in red. I looked closely and discovered that the asset division section in the original document had been modified to be split entirely in half. Meaning, after the divorce, I would receive half of Sun Yenin's assets. Money seemed to fall from the sky, but I felt a little uneasy, so I sent her a voice message. The asset division can just follow the original agreement, there's no need to divide it according to marriage law like that. You don't deserve to receive that much property. Sun Yenin, as if she had predicted I would say that, quickly texted back, I know you didn't marry me for money, I didn't amend the contract to compensate for anything, it's simply because the law stipulates it this way. This is the right you should have, please don't overthink it. I explained a few more sentences, but Sun Yenin still only used those arguments to reply. I was also tired, didn't want to continue persuading her, and had to let her decide. Day by day, I officially started my new job, gradually adapting to the environment here. A month later, I received the divorce certificate along with a series of documents transferring assets, real estate shares. Looking at the long row of numbers in the bank account, I didn't know what to do. So I put them all away, pretending nothing had ever happened, and continued living my own life. The harsh winter had passed, and spring gradually arrived. I was going to work as usual. Just as I arrived at the company, Su Xiaoqiao called me into the meeting room. The content of this meeting revolved around a cooperation project with several domestic IP companies. During the meeting, an assistant needed to be chosen to go back home with Su Xiaoqiao for specific discussions. Her eyes swept across everyone in the room, finally resting on me. "Chen Zhou, you come with me." Being suddenly called by name surprised me a little. Having only been with the company for 3 months, I originally didn't think I would be assigned such important work. But Su Xiaoqiao had specifically chosen me. I had no other choice but to nod in agreement. At the end of the meeting, the two of us hadn't left yet. Su Xiaoqiao spoke frankly, "Chen Zhou, although this trip back home involves discussions with 4 companies, the focus remains on the Su Shi group." Hearing the 2 words, Su Shi, I vaguely guessed something. I looked toward Su Xiaoqiao, my gaze carrying caution. "Is it Su Nianen?" She nodded, hesitated for a moment, then spoke honestly. "After the meal the other day, Nianen proactively contacted me. This project was shaped by that meeting." "Do you and she have some private matter?" She mentioned it briefly to me. I originally thought it was a personal matter and wasn't convenient to interfere, but now the project has reached a critical stage. I need to ensure there are no mistakes, so I wanted to ask you to come along. Although it's a bit presumptuous, I hope you understand. I actually didn't understand why she had to ask me. I was just a new employee, with no significant experience or connections. What role could I play in such a large cooperation deal? Or was it just because I was Su Nianen's ex-husband? But Su Nianen no longer had any feelings for me. We divorced very decisively. After that, she never contacted me again. So why did she think that simply having me present would make things easier? To avoid misunderstanding, I spoke directly. "Sister Xiaoqiao, previously it wasn't convenient for me to say because I was divorced, but this time, since it involves work, I think a few things should be clarified. Su Nianen and I were actually just a hasty marriage. She never loved me, there were no spousal feelings between us either. The divorce was very smooth, a civilized separation. Although I know she values affection, if it concerns professional interests, I believe she will still prioritize rationality. If you think bringing me along will help increase the success rate of negotiations, then perhaps I need to warn you in advance that the probability is not high." Hearing me describe the marriage as cold as that, Su Xiaoqiao just found it hard to believe. She invited me to sit down and couldn't help but ask, "Are you sure Su Nianen doesn't have any feelings for you?" I quickly nodded. Seeing my resolute expression, Su Xiaoqiao involuntarily recalled what Su Nianen had told her before leaving San Francisco. She promised that Chen Zhou and I were indeed husband and wife, or more accurately, divorced. In this marriage, she admitted she didn't do well, disappointed him, so he actively filed for divorce. I know Chen Zhou is very decisive. I don't want him to be hurt anymore, so I agreed. But personally, I still want to hold on to this relationship. It's just that I need more time to rethink things now. I know Chen Zhou definitely won't want to return with me, so I hope you can look after him for me for a while. I am truly grateful. Even though quite some time had passed, Su Xiaoqiao still clearly remembered Su Nianen's sorrowful, desperate expression and strangely sincere tone at that time. She genuinely found it hard to believe that someone like Su Nianen would ever want to hold on to a relationship. Her rationality questioned, would she be willing to entrust an entire major project to someone else just for a marriage with little affection? But if Su Nianen said there was an issue between Chen Zhou and her, she didn't want to speculate further. Finally, she just said, "I will handle the project part, you don't need to overthink it. I wanted to bring you home partly for my own reasons, and partly to train you. Just treat it as a regular business trip, handle things according to protocol. Is that all right?" After working together for a while, I understood Su Xiaoqiao was a straightforward person who didn't play tricks behind anyone's back. Moreover, this business trip was truly a good opportunity. I didn't want to miss it. After considering it all afternoon, I finally agreed. The date to return home was set for 1 week later. I was busy both dealing with work and taking the opportunity to pack my luggage. As the departure date approached, I felt an unusual sense of calm. Looking back at the past, I only saw it as a dream. The dream had ended, now I was truly awake, and would no longer cling to the past. As for Soon Yenin, she simply returned to her initial position, an old classmate, nothing more and nothing less. I had prepared myself mentally for the reunion, knowing exactly how I would face her. Returning to the familiar city, my mindset was completely different. I pulled my suitcase, talking and laughing happily with Su Qiao as we left the airport. While chatting, Su Qiao saw her parents and waved hello from afar, then she introduced me to them. The two parents were very welcoming, enthusiastically inviting me to their home for an intimate meal. But I understood that the three of them, meeting again as a family, would have a lot to talk about. I didn't want to disturb their reunion, so I politely declined. Saying temporary goodbyes, I pulled my suitcase and left the airport alone. Only then did I realize it was raining heavily outside. There were no cars on the road. I opened the ride-hailing app, intending to book a ride. Just then, a black car stopped right in front of me. I looked up instinctively and saw Soon Yenin approaching under an umbrella. After months apart, she looked noticeably thinner, wearing a beige windbreaker, tall and slender, with a somewhat worn appearance. I didn't expect to meet her here, my mind paused briefly, but she walked straight up to me, her eyes carrying an unreadable emotion, and softly asked, "Long time no see, Chen Zhou. Have you been well lately?" I instinctively took 2 steps back, widening the distance between us, and coldly replied, "Just fine." This distance made Soon Yenin momentarily disappointed, but she also understood that this was a reasonable reaction. After all, we were now a divorced couple. Very quickly, she regained her composure, looked at the suitcase in my hand, and said, "With the heavy rain like this, let me give you a ride back to the hotel." Seeing the notification on the screen that a driver had accepted the ride, I shook my head. "No need, I already called a car. So, take this umbrella, otherwise your luggage will get soaked." I didn't understand why she suddenly became so enthusiastic. A very strange feeling arose in my heart. "I don't need your help, nor do I see that there's any remaining relationship between us." The words were cold, stabbing straight into Soon Yenin's heart. Her hand hidden in her sleeve trembled slightly. She forced a smile. "After divorce, we can't even be friends?" I put my phone in my pocket, pulled the umbrella out of my backpack, my eyes focused on the approaching car. "Before the divorce, we were just ordinary classmates. After the divorce, returning to that time is fine. You and I inherently don't belong to the same world. There's no need to be friends at all." Every word I spoke carried no emotion. Soon Yenin stood still. She could only watch as the driver helped me put my luggage into the trunk, watched me open the door, sit inside, and close the umbrella. She felt as if something was slowly leaving her life. She couldn't help but take a step forward, holding tightly onto the car door that was about to close. Amidst the pitter-patter of the rain, her voice rang out clearly and powerfully. "You say we don't belong to the same world, but I don't think so. Chen Zhou, maybe you've heard people gossip about my background, about you having married into my family, but I want you to know that I never looked down on you, never once felt that you weren't worthy of standing beside me. You are a person who dares to face yourself, dares to pursue what you like. There's nothing to be self-conscious about." That was the first time someone had said that to me. I tilted my head to look at her, the corner of my lips curving slightly. Rarely did I manage to give her a smile, and I softly said, "Thank you." After leaving my luggage at the hotel, the rain had also stopped. I picked up my bag and hurried to the restaurant to meet Jiang Imo. The two of us hugged tightly, sat down, and recounted various stories. When Jiang Imo heard me tell him that I received half of Soon Yenin's assets, his mouth dropped open as if he wanted to swallow the entire plate. He clapped my shoulder hard, shouting non-stop, disregarding the stares of the people around us, We're rich now, my brother. Oh my God, clinging to my thigh like this means you won't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of your life, right? I quickly covered his mouth, apologized to the surrounding guests, and pulled him into a private room. When no one else was around, Jiang Imo leaned in close and quietly whispered, "Has the money gone into the account yet?" "Yes," I replied, "but I don't dare to spend it. It feels like money falling from the sky, and sooner or later, it will be taken back." Hearing that, Jiang Imo couldn't stand it, pulled my arm, and tried hard to convince me, "What money from the sky? This is your legal right, understand? Moreover, she voluntarily transferred it to you, she wasn't forced. Why should you feel guilty?" That was true. Seeing me gradually calm down, Jiang Imo grinned widely, picked up the menu, and without even looking at the price, ordered the most expensive type of lobster, for 2 portions. As he spoke, he proudly showed off, "How was my performance just now? Did I have the charisma?" I gave him 2 thumbs up, deliberately teasing him. Quite stylish. But when the bill comes out later, I wonder if General Manager Jiang will still dare to raise his head. After a hearty meal, Jiang Imo sat with his legs crossed, his face full of satisfaction. I pressed the bell to call the waiter for the bill, when suddenly a voice full of sarcasm rang out from behind, "Oh dear, isn't that Chinzhou?" The 2 of us simultaneously turned around and saw a group of people stepping down from the 2nd floor. Most were university classmates, and there was Song Jingyan advancing towards us. Seeing this, Jiang Imo leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Zhou, you haven't been to the US for long, but the scandal about Song Jingyan having multiple partners broke out loudly all over the internet, involving a bunch of people, and even made it to the hot search. I heard Sun Yan'an's sisters released it. Since then his reputation has been ruined, and later he shamelessly went looking for Sun Yan'an to ask to get back together but was rejected in front of everyone. His face at that time looked exactly like his self-esteem had been slapped straight. It was hilariously funny." Just then, Song Jingyan walked up to the table. He seemed to have vaguely overheard us talking about him. His face immediately darkened, and he glared at me. "Didn't you go abroad? Why come back? What does it have to do with you?" I replied, my voice slightly moist. Song Jingyan snorted coldly. "Don't tell me you think just by coming back you can win Sun Yan'an back. She never valued you before, and certainly not now." I didn't intend to argue. I stood up and pulled Jiang Imo away. My silent attitude made Song Jingyan even more furious. He blocked our path and cursed. He blocked the path to snatch the groom's position, and got half of Sun Yan'an's assets. "Do you think you're so talented? You're just a lucky gold digger. Do you think that little bit of money can cover up the scent of poverty from head to toe? Don't make me sick." The friends accompanying him also burst into laughter. Jiang Imo angrily moved to argue, but I quickly held him back. I calmly looked straight into Song Jingyan's eyes, my voice level. "What I received was voluntarily given by Sun Yan'an, just like the rumors about you, legitimate, righteous, and completely above board." Having finished speaking, I pulled Jiang Imo away. Song Jingyan was hit where it hurt, going crazy. He forcefully pushed a passing waiter. The bowl of hot soup in the waiter's hand was splashed, about to spill over Jiang Imo and me. At that very moment, Sun Yan'an appeared. She rushed forward, swung her arm, and knocked the bowl away. The hot soup splashed onto her left arm. The sizzling sound of burnt skin startled everyone. Blisters immediately rose on her fair skin, her face instantly turned pale. It didn't occur to Song Jingyan that she would be here, much less that she would step in to save me. For a moment, he awkwardly stepped forward intending to look at the wound, but Sun Yan'an tried to suppress the pain, her eyes icy as she looked at him. "Considering the relationship with Uncle Song and Aunt Song, I have never pursued what you did. But if you still show no remorse, I won't hesitate to teach you a lesson." Song Jingyan still wanted to explain, but Sun Yan'an didn't give him a chance. She pulled Jiang Imo and me away. The cold night wind blowing past made me much clearer-headed. Seeing her arm was seriously injured, I immediately took out my car keys and drove straight to the hospital. As soon as the nurse saw the size of the burn, she was startled and almost screamed, immediately calling the doctor. Only 4 people remained in the emergency room. I turned back to look at Soon Yenin, who was trying to endure the pain, took 2 napkins to help wipe the sweat streaming down her forehead, said nothing, and then took the prescription the doctor gave me to get the medicine. When I returned, the wound had been treated. The doctor gave a few more instructions and discharged her. I drove Soon Yenin home. Returning to that villa again, looking at the living room layout which was largely unchanged, a flicker of confusion appeared in my eyes. The old butler saw me and excitedly ran out to greet me, talking non-stop, "Young master, you've finally returned. All this time you were gone, the mistress has always been waiting for you." Mid-sentence, he saw Soon Yenin's injury and froze. "Mistress, how did you get injured like this?" I acted as if I hadn't heard, handed the medicine in my hand to him, reiterated the doctor's instructions, and then turned to leave. Watching my figure gradually disappear, Soon Yenin only felt emptiness in her heart. She desperately wanted to call me back, but the words caught in her throat, unable to be uttered. Her hesitant look, wanting to speak but unable to, caught the butler's eye, making him almost anxious. Without hesitation, he quickly ran after me, called me back, and poured out everything he hadn't managed to say. "Young master, since you've returned, please don't leave again, okay? For the past 3 months, the mistress, outside of work hours, only stays in her room, staring blankly at the clusters of flowers you once planted. Even when sleeping at night, she mutters your name. Every week she flies to the US to see you, but because she's afraid of bothering you, she never dares to contact you." I didn't know a single thing Uncle Zhao said. I had thought she had truly let go and had started a new life. Hearing this, my first reaction was to find it ridiculous. Didn't Soon Yenin always love Song Jingnian? How could she do such incomprehensible things for me, a mere supporting character? Therefore, I didn't pay attention to his words, only seriously replied, "Uncle Zhao, Soon Yenin and I are divorced. I have also let go of the past. The things that happen at the Su family home no longer concern me. Don't call me young master anymore. From now on, just call me Chen Zhou when we meet. It's getting late, I'll take my leave now. Please take care of yourself." After a brief 2-day rest, I returned to work. I accompanied Su Qiaoqiao to discuss cooperation details, gaining considerable experience. The project's progress was surprisingly smooth. Everything went as smoothly as flowing water, without encountering any major obstacles. During the negotiations with the Su-Shur side, Soon Yenin did not personally appear, only sending the vice general manager. I let out a sigh of relief and presented the prepared contract. After reviewing the terms, the other party expressed a very positive willingness to cooperate, only presenting one condition: during the contract's validity, the person responsible for coordination and communication between the two sides must be me. Su Qiaoqiao immediately guessed this was definitely Soon Yenin's idea. She wanted to use this cooperation opportunity to keep me around. After consideration, Su Qiaoqiao decided to ask for my opinion. Therefore, after leaving the Su-Shur headquarters, we found a coffee shop to talk. "Chen Zhou, it might be a bit sudden, but if it's convenient for you, could you tell me about your marriage with Soon Yenin?" I was silent for a moment, but finally decided to recount everything from beginning to end. 4 years as classmates, 3 years of marriage, totaling nearly 1/3 of my life. But when actually recounting it to someone else, everything became so light that there was no trace left, as if I were telling someone else's story. The intense emotions that once supported me through countless dark nights were finally worn down to exhaustion by time. Su Qiaoqiao listened, and for a long time said nothing. She didn't know how to comfort me. At this moment, all words seemed faint and meaningless. In the private room, only the silent echo of the seasonal wind remained. Seeing her face full of sympathy and regret, I smiled faintly, my voice carrying the calmness of someone who had been through many ups and downs. Sister Qiao Qiao, I know you are still hesitant, wanting to secure this project, yet not wanting me to be hurt. I told you these old stories that should have been buried, only to say that I have actually let go completely. Whatever their reason for making this request, in my eyes, it is just a job. I will complete it seriously. Even though I don't have much experience yet, as long as you need me, as long as the team needs me, I will do my utmost, certainly not betraying everyone's expectations. Hearing my firm promise, Sister Qiao Qiao's eyes reddened, tears glistened as if about to overflow. This project was crucial for her success or failure, so she spared no effort in pushing the cooperation forward. The most important link, however, was me. Although the word exploitation sounded a bit harsh, this was the only path now. She understood that, and so did I. I voluntarily accepted it without resentment. All the gratitude ultimately culminated in a soft clinking of glasses. At the end of April, Sister Qiao Qiao took the 4 officially signed contracts, preparing to fly back to San Francisco. I went to the airport to see her off. Upon seeing a familiar figure from afar, Sister Qiao Qiao finally couldn't help but ask, "Chen Zhou, the person you loved for 7 years, now that she clearly understands her feelings, are you truly not going to give her another chance?" I answered directly, "You know I am a rational person, only wish for my own happiness. But only I understand how hard I struggled over those 7 years to move past that love. If it were simply a matter of not having her, perhaps the pain wouldn't be so intense, only a little regret would remain. But precisely because I once thought I had touched the moonlight, once believed I had grasped the light, only to finally discover that it was all an illusion. Once I knew I had deceived myself, I couldn't continue dreaming any longer. Some things are only suitable for looking up at. Sister Qiao Qiao, life cannot be turned back, we must know how to look forward." For convenience with work, I rented a penthouse apartment. The next day, someone moved into the apartment opposite. It was Sun Yenan. Throughout the month in Jingbei, I often ran into her everywhere, supermarket corners, hot pot restaurants, even a corner of the park. With her status, she shouldn't have appeared in such places. I knew she was quietly following me. Occasionally meeting face to face, we only exchanged greetings like old friends. Most of the time she walked silently behind me, like a shadow quietly drifting in her own world. I gradually got used to it. Since becoming neighbors, the frequency of encounters increased. Sun Yenen's face became increasingly radiant. She often proactively invited me to go for walks, dinner, or even travel far away. I always found excuses to refuse. Each time she heard me say sorry, her eyes dimmed a little. I had often thought that maybe this time she would give up. Yet the next day she would appear as if nothing had happened, greeting me with a face full of excitement. Seeing her so fervent, I involuntarily recalled the university years when she was still with Song Jingnian. She was once like this too, afraid of the other person getting angry, afraid of being rejected, utterly humbling herself and forgetting her own self. But I am not Song Jingnian. I have no interest in being blindly loved by others, nor do I have the strange preference for making people suffer to inflate my own ego. I just want to live peacefully every day, enjoying life, that's all. Time quietly passed, from spring to summer, then late autumn, early winter. The project, which lasted nearly a year, also came to an end. The day the contract ended was also my 25th birthday. I had booked a ticket to fly back to San Francisco. The night before departure, I packed my luggage until midnight. Just as I was about to go to sleep, I saw it starting to snow lightly outside. When the clock struck exactly 12, a knock sounded at the door. I opened it and saw Sun Yenan standing there, holding a birthday cake. She was still smiling, "Happy birthday." But I could see the unconcealable sadness hidden deep in her eyes. I was stunned for a moment, then quickly regained my composure, and politely thanked her. When the candle was lit, I clasped my hands and silently made a wish. When I opened my eyes, I met Sun Yenen's expectant gaze. "What did you wish for?" she asked. "The same as last year," I replied vaguely and said nothing more. The conversation thus fell silent. Sun Yenen recalled what had happened on my birthday last year, and the smile at the corner of her mouth gradually turned bitter. I lowered my gaze, avoiding her look. The atmosphere became even denser as a result. A long time later, I heard her ask a rather strange question. "Chen Zhou, when you saw me off from the house on the day I left last year, what was the last thing you said?" I didn't hear clearly then. Actually, I didn't remember clearly anymore. Those cold, damp memories, which made me not want to look back, had been erased by time, becoming vague. What remained in me were only the brilliant, clear years, the warm moments that still made my heart feel comfortable whenever I recalled them. Now, as a new year began, I only wished that the people I met and the things I experienced would all be completely good. Therefore, I fabricated 2 sentences, treating them as memories. "I wish you happiness. I also wish you happiness." Waking up the next morning, the outside was a world of white snow, and the snow hadn't stopped falling. I pulled my suitcase downstairs and saw Sun Yenen waiting by the road. She actively walked over, her voice carrying an indescribably complex emotion. "The snow is heavy like this. You won't be able to call a car. Let me take you to the airport." This time I did not refuse. I felt she still had something she wanted to say, and I also wanted to conclude everything completely. This departure, truly, had no return date. The car moved very slowly. I didn't know if it was because the road was slippery or if she deliberately extended the time. But because there was still plenty of time, I also said nothing, just quietly looking out the window. As each minute passed, Sun Yenen finally couldn't bear the silent atmosphere of separation, wanting to find something to say, also to soothe her restless mind. "Chen Zhou, do you still remember the second Christmas after we got married? The snow was also very heavy then. Your mother was in poor health at the time, and I took you to the temple to pray for blessings. When praying for fate, you drew a divination stick, and on it was written, 'May I obtain one person's heart.'" Hearing her recount it, I also remembered that memory. After receiving the divination stick, the master read it and said, "It is fate in destiny, and also karma in destiny. If one awakens early, it is a great auspicious sign." At that time, I didn't understand. I kept thinking the master was talking about me. So I suffered thinking about it for a long time, because I truly hoped to be with her for life. But thinking back now, the one who drew the stick was Sun Yenen. Those words were never meant for me. Because the person she wanted to be with for life back then, was never me, right? Thinking of this, I gave a faint smile. I don't remember clearly anymore. Sun Yenen froze for a few seconds, then hurriedly changed the subject, starting to talk about trivial things after we got married. There were things I couldn't even remember, yet she spoke about them in great detail. Perhaps over the past year, she had replayed those memories countless times in her head. She tried to use those small memories to move me, but I showed no reaction, as if I no longer missed anything about the past. When I wasn't paying attention, the car had arrived at the airport. I pulled my suitcase out of the car, and just as I was about to leave, I heard her call me from behind. She handed me a box, her eyes carrying clear expectation. I opened it. Inside was a pair of jade pendants. I clearly remembered, this was the heirloom of the Su family. "Why are you giving me this? If it's a parting gift, it's far too valuable, I dare not accept it." Rejected yet again, Sun Yenen could barely manage a forced smile anymore. Her throat tightened, her eyes flashing with a hint of anxiety. "Please take it, this is my sincerity, and also my mother's intention." I gently shook my head, my voice still light as the wind. "I understand what it signifies, which is why I absolutely cannot accept it. The words that needed to be said, I have said many times already. If this story has ended, then let everything return to its original place. Every word was like a knife carving deep into Sun Yenen's heart. She stood there in the snow, watching me walk away step by step, without turning back even once, only the steadily falling snowflakes covering my hair in white, bringing her a hazy white, like a farewell she would never reach in her lifetime. Together until our hair turns gray, never apart, that promise, in the end, she couldn't keep.